Chapter 7. The Alien. It was a cold day in June. I hurried home after my shopping, which had left my spirit high and purse depleted. It was dark. I walked on the sidewalk before entering my garden pathway. It was chilly and I was very hungry, so I hurried to my house. Just I walked up the steps that led to the doorway, a sudden dazzle hit my eyes. A torrent of light has capsized upon the house and I felt the glow of 1,000 suns. The glaring white blinded my eyes. I dropped my shopping bags around me and shielded my eyes as I stood still panic-stricken. Looking up, I saw a fascinating sight. It was a UFO. It was an exact replica of the ones in comic books and fiction movies. So I couldn't possibly have mistaken it for anything else. At the same instant, I felt a tug at my sari pallu. It was wonderstruck at the sight of an alien, very humanoid in appearance, and of course he was sea green, as they were always portrayed, and he stood there with his strange enormous eyes straining to see me. His eyes were watery, with rainbow shades floating in them very strangely. He wore a glowing silver metal helmet, which was actually his head. The antenna, like the two tentacles found on the head of a snail, glimmered and shone in fluorescent shades of green and red as though it were traffic lights. His head was mango-shaped and his mouth widened and contracted on and off in a grin that stretched wide to right behind his head. I gathered up courage and said, "Hi." He smiled back and I grew braver and extended my hospitality by asking him if he needed food. He grinned and nodded and I doubted that he understood me. By now, I was enjoying this strange encounter, considering he wasn't harmful, and I really wished to communicate with him. I was afraid he would take off abruptly. As it always happened in movie I had seen, I prodded his tummy and said, "Food?" I made a chomping sound as if I was munching away. Grin nod, grin nod. Drink? And I made a gulping sound. He stared bewildered. I picked up a Tetra pack of juice from the shopping bags I had dropped open and offered this to my alien friend. Grin nod, grin nod. Words like fridged, lunch, chapatis, rice made absolutely no sense to him. When I next tapped his tummy, I heard some static sounds as though he were a goofed up radio. Few beeps followed and the antenna on his metal head flashed tiny lightning lights. The brightly lit UFO head lodged itself upon the field beyond and like all the UFOs I had seen in movies, dimmed its lights and stood like an enormous dark shadow in the background. A few serial lights flashed on and off to remind us of its presence. I gestured for my friend to come into the house. I took few steps forward and began climbing the few stairs that led to my veranda. I was amazed and happy to find the alien hadn't slackened his hold on my sari pallu. He slid in with me and floated up the stairs. His every move fascinated me. I just had to slow down and watch his every move. I couldn't understand how he mobilized without legs or feet. However, he stopped moving once we were in the veranda. He turned himself to face his spacecraft and emanated a few of his beeps and static sounds. I heard a soft crackle from the craft in answer. The alien turned around, a full circle, grinning and nodding non-stop, and looked at me straight in the eyes. Two pinpoints of light like keen daggers pierced mine. He then did to me what I had done. He prodded my stomach with his spindly fingers a few times and let off more static sounds. He then turned towards the spacecraft, floated down the 3 stairs as though he were a spirit, and swish, disappeared into the spacecraft. More lights, more beeps, more crackling sounds, a big whoosh, and I was left there on my house front, alone with my thoughts and thoroughly perplexed. A terrible loneliness filled my heart, and I hated to see my alien go. I wandered into my house like a zombie and looked out the window to see a tiny spot twill and vanish like it always did in my books. I fell in a faint. I slept a fitful sleep and woke up in a hospital bed. My nurse gave me my breakfast, but hunger evaded me. I had lost all appetite. I asked about my alien, and they gave me a pill to make me doze off. When I woke up, I still felt no hunger and refused all food. Everyone was worried and sick that I hadn't eaten for 3 days, then 4, then 5. 6, said someone. 7, said someone else. 8, said my husband's loud voice, and then I awoke. Yes, it was 8 in the morning, and here I was pinning away for my alien in my dreams.
Chapter 8